Perfect.
Of the Bright Lights Podcast. I'm your host, Deegs. Joined as always by my two wonderful co-hosts, Mahoney.
What up, guys?
And PT.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Gentlemen, how's spring break going for you guys?
It's great, Doug. You know, chilling, living life.
Cold.
It is cold. It's not really spring break, but hey.
It's very cold.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, you get a week off of college. You take that any day.
You take it.
Exactly.
You take it.
We got a lot of fun things in today's episode. We got some. I think Mahoney has some hockey talk. Talk a little bit.
Sad hockey talk.
PT's gonna talk a little bit about football, and then we're gonna give you guys our first ever Bright Lights podcast divisional preview of the National League West. So, without further ado, I don't want to waste your time or our time. Mahoney, go ahead, baby.
All right, guys. For my Chicago Blackhawks fans, it's been a rough last couple of weeks. You know, it's been rough since the trade deadline, but it is time to lay to rest to this Blackhawks season, to put in the grave. The last 3 losses, we've lost 4 out of the last 5. Just the nail's been put in the coffin. We're getting laid down to rest. Calling the season done. Dunzo gone. We're going to have to start looking towards next year. Maybe start tanking these last couple games, because honestly, the Blackhawks have a chance of getting a top 5 pick, even though they were in the race for the playoffs so late in the season. There's some good talent coming out of the draft. We could get this Hughes guy, who's a good wing. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen with the Blackhawks. It's time to look for next year. Stop talking about this year. Stop getting all worked up, all stressed out. It's over, guys. Put it away. The Blackhawks are done. They're done.
No, yeah, I agree with you. It's sad, to be honest with you. It's never a good feeling. I was watching the last couple of games that were playing pretty decent in the first and second period, and then they just burn out in the third period. Kane is absolutely burnt out. They have been using him way too much, and it's sad to see, because you can see it on his face that he's disappointed. You can see it on Taves' face he's disappointed. But like you said, yeah, I agree. The season's over. There's a lot of holes they need to address this offseason too. I think their defense and their goalies need to be addressed.
Defense and goaltending is the 2 big problems, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we got to see what Crawford's future looks like. We got to see Keith and Seabrook are getting up there. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with the offseason. I think they need to get one more star power forward to partner with Kane and Taves. DeBrincat showed some flashes of it, so It'll be interesting to see what they do. Yeah,
definitely. So, going to the other side of Chi-Town, I want to talk about the little basketball. The Bulls are back. They are back.
Oh, dude, if I was you, I would want the Bulls to
I do, but dude, ever since we got Otto Porter, they've won 10 out of the last 15.
That's awful.
Stop. Stop. No, exactly. Stop winning.
Well, here's the thing. I think that what they did is they got rid of a head case in the locker room. I think Portis was kind of stirring up bad stuff in the locker room. I hate to say he was a good basketball player, but it destroys you in your locker room. It's never good for that. I think Otto is a good guy to be in there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right now, the Bulls have the 4th worst record in the league, so they have the 4th highest chance.
Good. Let's stay there, or go lower.
No, dude, but 2 weeks ago they were they had the worst record in the East. Now they're about to win their 20th game if they win one more game. So I hate to say it, but you guys play your way out of Zion, which kind of blows if you're a Bulls fan.
It's a big time blow. But you know what? The Bulls suck. They're gonna suck for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Chicago sports is awful right now. It's just bad.
Yeah. Except for the Bears, baby.
Except for the Bears, who aren't playing right now. So
happier. I would take that, to be honest with you, because I've been waiting a long time for the Bears to come back around.
Yeah. And then there was some other news in basketball. Deegs, I'll pass this one on to you, buddy.
Yeah, man. I mean, LeBron James passed Michael Jordan, all-time scoring list. Whether you hate LeBron, like LeBron, don't give a shit about LeBron, it was pretty cool. I mean, he started like crying after and everything. I mean, the guy looked up to Jordan growing up, so that's pretty dope. I mean, it kind of blows that he's not going to make the playoffs this year because he got injured.
So crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I mean, if you really think about it, if he doesn't get hurt and if Lonzo doesn't get hurt, they're like a top 3 team in the West.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you lose LeBron for 2.5 weeks. Lonzo's been out for a while. Yeah, they're not making the playoffs. And they don't have their draft pick this year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so I don't think so.
That kind of blows.
Yeah. Do you know what else blows? You know what else blows? The reaction from the fans after LeBron passed Jordan. It was absolute shit.
Lakers fans are the worst.
They are. Yeah.
They're like, I'm trying to think of like an equivalent.
The Yankees?
No. Well, I mean, I guess they're not like as annoying as Yankee fans. No, but I'm talking about like
my hockey guys. They're like the Philadelphia Flyer fans. That's exactly what they're like.
Like when the Lakers aren't performing, they just like turn on everybody and blame it on like one specific person. When I mean, LeBron's 34. He's averaging 27. He's almost averaging a triple-double at the age of 34 years old. And they're just, like, pissed off because they're not going to make the playoffs. And everyone's, like, comparing him to Kobe and how, like, Kobe took, like – there was a picture I saw where it was, like, Kobe in like, a bunch of ice packs. I don't know if you guys saw this.
I saw that, yeah.
And someone quoted it and said, "This is what carrying your team looks like."
Yeah,
and that picture was taken when the Lakers won less than 20 games.
Yeah, and didn't even come close to making the playoffs. So that just shows stupid people on Twitter.
Just stop. I tweeted this earlier last night. Stop taking whether you think he's the best ever, one of the best basketball players ever for granted, and just fucking appreciate it, dude.
Exactly.
Like, he's gonna be done playing in like 4 or 5 years. It just pisses me off. It's really stupid.
Yeah.
Just appreciate it. Stop bitching. Stop comparing him to Kobe. Stop comparing him to anybody, and just watch the fucking guy play basketball, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. The MJ talks and LeBron talks definitely heated up the last 24 hours. I don't know about you guys, but as a Bulls fan, I'm always going to have my heart go towards Jordan, but I will say that LeBron is definitely the best basketball player of this generation. There's no doubt about it. I don't understand all the hate that he gets. He's a great basketball player, does a lot of good things. I think he just gets the wrong image because of people on Twitter. Again, LeBron is just an awesome basketball player, and you're right, people are not appreciating him at all.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mahoney. I mean, I used to sit in class and people would just argue about who's better, MJ or LeBron, and I wouldn't say anything because I'm not that big of a basketball guy. But I just don't think you can compare the two. They're played in 2 different generations. The playing style is completely different. The physical stature of each player was completely different, and I just think the game was completely different back then too. So I think they were both GOATs in their eras. So I just like when people say who was better. I mean, I think you can't compare that.
I was reading some dude like I don't remember who it was, but someone was like, "Oh, well, it took LeBron like 100-something more games to pass Jordan or whatever," and then someone was like, "Oh, well, LeBron just shoots more threes than Jordan," and not like you're criticizing a guy for being better than someone at something. That's like saying That's like saying if or when Steph Curry gets up to like 30,000 points, they're like, "Oh, well, he just shot a bunch of threes." Okay, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, he made them. Like,
is that his fault that he's attempting more shots? And like, if people are acting like LeBron James is like this godly 3-point shooter, his career high in threes per game is 6, and that's this year. Up until before last year, he never attempted more than 4 threes a game his entire career.
Well, yeah, and then I read something online too, and it took LeBron, I think it was 1,200 less shots, and also
3,000 less shots.
Really, that many?
Yeah.
Wow. And then another thing is that Jordan was always able to shoot the 3-ball, but LeBron didn't start really consistently shooting the 3-ball until like 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago.
He never, take it from a Heat fan. Michael never shot it a lot either, but like he could. LeBron didn't really start to he was shooting below 30% from the 3-point line until he left Miami. Once he got to Cleveland, that's when he really started to take off. But you can't discredit someone for just being better than someone at something. That's idiotic. That's stupid. And someone did I really wish I could find who it was on Twitter, but some dude was he did the math and point per bucket or whatever. If you take away threes and
I
free
saw
throws,
that.
only field goals, LeBron is higher. He's a 1.10. Jordan's a 1.02. I mean, I don't want to get into the conversation. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
but,
me either.
I mean, people that say that LeBron isn't great or that he's not even a top 5. He's either the best or the second best basketball player ever. There's not discussion. I don't care if he never makes it to the playoffs ever again in his career. The dude went to 8 straight finals. He's got 4 MVPs. He's probably going to be top 2 or top 3 in scoring when it's all said and done.
Definitely.
He'll probably be a unanimous Hall of Famer too. It's just fucking dumb, dude. It's dumb.
It really is.
I just want to move on. PT, talk about the fucking Bears, dude.
Yeah, let's talk about the Bears.
Yeah, we're in the offseason right now. Nothing big. Just this has kind of been an ongoing thing. Schefter tweeted out earlier that multiple teams approached the Bears at the Combine discussing possible trade options with Howard. This doesn't surprise me at all. They were also supposedly approached at the trade deadline last year to trade Howard, and they didn't, which didn't surprise me because he was actually starting to play a lot better than he did earlier in the season. I have mixed emotions on this just because, like I said, Howard was playing a little bit better towards the end of the season, but he really doesn't seem to fit in Matt Nagy's playing type. So I could see them possibly going out, trying to get a third-round pick, because Pace does seem to draft better in the mid-rounds. So I wouldn't be sad, but I would be a little sad because Jordan Howard he's a good guy. We drafted him, we brought him in, we kind of grew him under our wing. But it probably will happen. We'll just see when it happens.
Yeah, and sticking with the Bears, with our luck with kickers, we decided to sign a kicker whose name is Blewett. So just thanks, Chicago. It's great. Did you see Lance Briggs posted something about it? There was a video of him laughing for 30 straight seconds. Just him laughing.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah, it's rough.
Hopefully he's good, dude.
He was pretty good in college, so.
Well, it sounds like
pretty good in college.
Yeah, right.
Roberto Aguayo was pretty good in college.
Yeah.
We thought Parkey was good. He was like the second best short field kicker in the NFL. But when we signed him, and then now all of a sudden he can't even. Oh my God! I don't even want to get in the kick.
I still don't understand why the Bears got rid of Robbie Gould.
Well, he was asked when we got rid of him.
He basically had a season like Parkey did, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and now he's the best. He's the most accurate kicker in football right now.
Yeah, that's
he's
cool.
kicking in San Francisco.
He single-handedly beat the Bears last year or 2 years ago. That was so funny.
Yeah, so now I think it's time to go where everybody came to listen to this podcast. We're going to do our NL West predictions, baby. Deegs, you know a lot about the NL West, with your Padres and everything. We're ready. We're ready.
I'm hyped. I got all my notes on a piece of tissue, and we're ready to go.
We're ready.
Okay,
all right. So
why don't you explain how we're going to do this, what order we're going and everything.
All right, so we're going to start with the order of the standings last year. We're going to talk about the subtractions, the additions, some prospects that might come up this year. We're going to give them a grade. We're going to
off-season grade.
Off-season grade. We're going to give them our prediction of what their record's going to be and what place they're going to be in. There's going to be a lot of hot takes this episode, a lot of talking, a lot of interesting stuff. So hang on tight, get up and get excited.
Disclaimer, Lights Podcast is not responsible for any bets you make on these records, any money you lose.
But whatever money you win, we would like a chunk of it.
We're probably going to be terribly wrong with these, as everybody that predicts standings every single year are always wrong. Nobody rarely ever gets it right unless it's the Yankees or the Red Sox, and even then they probably get it wrong. So please don't think we're just morons for getting all this stuff wrong. We're just going to give our predictions, have a little fun, talk about some stuff, and yeah. So Mahoney, we'll go in our same order, Mahoney, PT, and then I'll go last. You guys go ahead and get us started.
All right, so let's just kind of talk about the team. So we'll start with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who came in first place last year. I gave them a D. I didn't think they did anything to help them. I think they hurt themselves more. As we look at their subtractions from this past offseason, we have big names like Alex Wood, Brian Dozier, Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp, Ryan Madsen, Yasmani Grandal, your Manny Machado, John Axford, Daniel Hudson, and all they added was a hurt-riddled A.J. Pollock, a veteran guy that might help around the clubhouse, Russell Martin, but they added a good bullpen piece in Joe Kelly, so it's going to be interesting. I have their record being 88 and 74. We'll give our standings at the end of this kind of to see where everything plays out, but Deegs, what do you got to say about the Dodgers?
Yeah, man, I mean, it's kind of mixed emotions for me. They lost a lot. Obviously, they lost Machado. They lost Dozier, 2 midseason acquisitions. They lost Alex Wood, which a lot of people don't really view as kind of a big deal, but he's a pretty solid pitcher. And now you have to rely on a bunch of young guys. You have to rely on Urias, that like 21-year-old, to probably slide in and take his spot. And that guy's been kind of up and down. So whenever you want to, when you're a team that's contending for a World Series every year, like for the Dodgers, it's World Series or bust. When you put a bunch of that workload onto a young starting pitcher, it doesn't always pan out well. Not every young guy is Walker Buehler, and it's going to dominate like Walker Buehler did last year. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Puig and Kemp, 2 productive guys for them. I think the biggest loss is Yasmani Grandal, because their catchers are currently Austin Barnes and Russell Martin. Not appealing at all. Not a really good tandem right there, which is kind of bad. Grandal was also really good defensively, even though he was awful in the playoffs. He's one of the best pitch framers in baseball. That helps a lot. A lot of people don't realize that, but that's going to be a big loss in my opinion. Even though Grandal might not be the best offensive catcher, he's pretty good. He's one of the best in the league, but still losing him is big. Their bullpen is really bad. In my opinion, they might have the worst bullpen in this division when it's all said and done, other than Arizona. Kenley Jansen, if you haven't heard, early arm problems. Yesterday, he was sitting 89 to 90. I know guys that are in college at D3 that throw harder than that. He touched 94 once, but really mostly was 89, 90, a little bit of 91. So that's not really anything you want to see. The biggest thing with the Dodgers, the absolute biggest thing for me with the Dodgers is if Clayton Kershaw is not healthy, they are not making it past the first round of the playoffs.
Yep.
He's been shut down for spring training. Last year he was not throwing hard. I mean, his off-speed stuff is still nasty because it's Clayton Kershaw, but he's really on the decline. It's something that is really concerning if you're a Dodgers fan. I personally love it as a Padres fan. But if he's not healthy, I don't care what anyone says, they're not going anywhere. He's still their ace. Walker Buehler's really good pitcher. He's only like 23, so like, come on, don't give that guy your ace role on a team that expects to win the World Series every year. Other than that, Hyun-Jin Ryu, toss up. Kenta Maeda, you don't know if he's going to come out of the bullpen or be a starter. Rich Hill's like 50, and he throws like 85 miles an hour. If he can't locate his curveball, no. And, I mean, yeah, that is not a good pitching staff, in my opinion. The bullpen's not deep at all. Like you mentioned, they lost John Axford, they lost Daniel Hudson, they lost Ryan Madsen. They don't really have a lot of good guys in that bullpen, except for Joe Kelly. So, yeah, I gave them a B- just because it's the Dodgers, and they have a really good farm system. So they'll probably find a way to pick some guys up at the deadline. They have Keith Ruiz, they have Gavin Lux. They have a bunch of young, talented guys in their farm system that they could easily deal away. There's a lot of concerns, though. This team is I've seen a lot of people picking this team to win the World Series. This team is worse than they were last year. I understand they're getting Corey Seager back, but you have to realize I'm kind of rambling at this point, but Max Muncy had a year he's never had before, so you need to have that production again. Seager hasn't even played yet.
Yeah.
He
hasn't?
No, he hasn't even played yet. Opening day is in like 2 or 3 weeks. They have a crowded outfield, but honestly, like Puig and Kemp probably better than Peterson.
Well, they're gonna have to rely on Vertigo probably this year too.
Vertigo, I mean, that guy's been he's been like one of the highly touted prospects for the last 5 years. Nothing has happened, so I have question marks. I don't think he's that good, to be honest with you. and their pitching is a real concern. Their bullpen is really concerning, especially if Kenley Jansen isn't healthy. I have them going 88 and 74. I'll say it right now. Spoiler alert: they're not winning this division, in my opinion.
Yep, same.
But that's what I have. I mean, they'll probably figure it out. They'll probably pull some shit out at the deadline. But as of right now, going into opening day, I'm not putting anything on the Dodgers going back to the World Series or even making it past the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I agree with you both. You guys made really good points about their offseason. They lost everyone. They got decimated. They only got Joe Kelly. Really, that's not going to help them much. It's really sad to see Jansen have the arm issues. He was one of my favorite guys just watching the postseason. He was so electric. Another person they lost, Puig. I solely believe that this guy, Puig, is a guy you want in your locker room. He was a spark to their offense that definitely is going to hurt them a lot. It does help that the course he's going to come back, but it's concerning he hasn't played yet. Like you said, you guys make really good points. I'm going to give them a D+ just because they just got decimated in the offseason. They really didn't gain much. They lost a lot. And I'm going to give them a 90 and 72 record this year. And they're not going to be in first though.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I think this next team has a lot of eyes on them this year. The Colorado Rockies. They honestly, when you look at it, they only lost 4 players this offseason. But 2 big names. They lost Drew Butera and Gerardo Parra. Not really big names, but they lost DJ LeMahieu and Adam Ottavino. It's going to be interesting for the Rockies. They added Daniel Murphy and Mark Reynolds. Mark Reynolds is just going to be a guy that comes off the bench. Maybe it's a home run every couple games. Now, the big addition is Daniel Murphy, and you guys heard me say this earlier. I think he's a dark horse for MVP candidate this year. Call me crazy. Don't care. I think they're going to move Daniel Murphy to first base. They haven't really had a first baseman. They've had Ian Desmond, so Daniel Murphy's going to move over there. That opens up second base after they lose DJ LeMahieu. And I think that this year, out of any years, the Colorado Rockies are going to need to rely on young players, young prospects. They've got Garrett Hampson and Brendan Rodgers, who both play second base. They're both top 100 prospects. Garrett Hampson has already had some time in the MLB. I see him being their everyday second baseman this year. I could see one of the two, Garrett Hampson or Brendan Rodgers, really being a good trade piece at the end of the year to bolster either their bullpen or starting rotation because, to be honest, they don't really have much right now. Another one of their top 100 prospects, Peter Lambert, starting pitcher. Don't be shocked if you see him this year. Could probably be an effective piece that they can have. This offseason, the Rockies added a good amount. They lost a good amount. I gave them a C for just, being average. But I have them coming in first place at 92 and 71.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is a pretty big year for the Rockies. Obviously, they just extended Nolan Arenado, 8-year massive deal. Well-deserved deal, might I add. He's a really good player. Yeah. I think the Murphy signing is really underrated just because even though he's like 36, the dude's going to rake. He still has really good bat-to-ball skills. He's terrible, absolutely terrible defensively. Probably one of the worst defensive players in baseball. But when you can hit, you'll find a way to get in the lineup every single day. That's kind of a common rule across all levels of baseball. Losing Ottavino really hurts because I remember, if you don't remember, 2 years ago they spent a shit ton of money on relievers, and they brought in Brian Shaw and Wade Davis and all those guys. They had the 26th highest bullpen ERA last year with a 4.62, and that bullpen was really bad. Even though Wade Davis had like 40 saves, he had like a really high ERA. Ottavino was the best reliever in that pen, and you lose him, that really hurts. I think their starting pitching is pretty decent. Kyle Freeland's really good. Germán Marquez is really good. John Gray is iffy.
On and off, yeah.
Yeah, they have some other guys in there, and Peter Lambert is a pretty intriguing prospect if he does come up this year. I just think that this team is going to hit. They have a lot of good pieces around the lineup. Murphy and LeMahieu kind of cancel each other out. Even though LeMahieu was a Gold Glove defender, you do lose that defense, but you probably gain a little bit more offense with Daniel Murphy's bat-to-ball skills. Hampton and Rodgers, two really good prospects. They've been both on fire in spring training. Both of them one of them, and we'll probably start opening day there. Again, you could also use the other as a trade piece to go and get a young starting pitcher. I do like that idea. But I mean, across the board, this is a really good offensive team. Charlie Blackmon, Nolan Arenado. And yeah, it just comes down to if I had to play Colorado in Colorado, they're probably going to out-hit you. I have them going 91-71, winning the division by 3 games. And if this team gets hot at the right time, they're going to do some damage in the playoffs, especially if someone has to travel to Coors Field to play them.
No, yeah, I agree with you, Deegs. I have them actually at 91-71 as well. I think this division is going to go down, possibly to one of the last games. I think both of LA and the Rockies are going to be able to take a hole in the front seat in this division. Like you said, Murphy and extending Arenado was huge for them. Murphy will definitely be able to support them in the defense and on offense. I gave them a B- for the offseason, just basically on the sole fact that they extended Arenado and they got Murphy as well. So
I gave them a B. I don't know if I said that, but I gave them a B.
Yeah. What record do you think they're going to get, PT?
I said they're going to go 91-71. They're going to be first in the division.
There you go. Now going to probably the saddest team in this division, the Arizona Diamondbacks. They were so high a couple years ago, and things are kind of crumbling to the ground. Stick with me here as I read their subtractions. It is quite a bit. They pretty much got rid of their starting 9. They subtracted Jeff Mathis, Paul Goldschmidt, Daniel Descalso, Chris Owings, John Jay, A.J. Pollock, Clay Buchholz, Patrick Corbin, Shelby Miller, Brad Boxberger, Randall Delgado, and Jake Diekman. That is a mouthful, and that is a lot of players and a lot of key players for the Arizona Diamondbacks team. They added Wilmer Flores, Carson Kelly, Luke Weaver, Marin Kelly from Japan, Greg Holland, and Nick Green. It was kind of interesting with the Greg Holland deal. It's a short deal. I'm pretty much guessing that they signed him to the deal just to see if something happens with him. They'll trade him at the deadline. But as we see now, Greg Holland is getting lit up in spring training, not doing well. They subtracted a lot, didn't add much. They're not going to do much this year probably. You never know with baseball. Some teams come out of nowhere. Their best prospect right now is John Duplanter, who's a starting pitcher. Probably you'll see him sometime this year. He spent a lot of time last year in AAA, so probably he'll start making his way towards the majors. Arizona, I gave him a D. It was just not good. I had them finishing in last place, sadly, at a 73-89 record.
Yeah, I mean, they lost way too much. The big one for me is Goldschmidt because, I mean, I think Paul Goldschmidt goes down as probably one of the more underrated players in baseball. I think he's a superstar. PT picked him to win the MVP, and I could definitely see that happen. The dude absolutely rakes. He's a stud. And the return for him, kind of questionable. I think the only real true guy they get out of that is Luke Weaver, starting pitcher. He could be a pretty decent addition to them. But, I mean, right now, they lost their best guy last year, Patrick Corbin. Clay Buchholz was really good for them last year. He had like a sub-3 ERA when he pitched for them. A.J. Pollock, when he's healthy, is a good player. John Jay, really good. He has really good bat-to-ball skills, kind of like Daniel Murphy, not a good defender, but he's a really good contact hitter. And, I mean, their bullpen sucks. Brad Boxberger and Jake Diekman, 2 guys that they brought in last year. It's just pretty much Archie Bradley and then take your pick from there. This is not a good team, in my opinion. Jake Lamb, probably their best guy right now, and even him, he's not always really healthy.
No,
they have a bunch of guys that, like Yasmani Tomas, and are just kind of there. There's no true star power in this team. Their farm system is really bad. It's really bad, except for John Duplantier, and he's a top 100 prospect, but even then, he's nothing too special. Big thing with the Diamondbacks is what they do with Zach Greinke. I think they'll probably trade him at some point before the deadline. I think some team will be willing to take him on because he's still pretty good. He put up really good numbers last year, even though he's making a shit ton of money. Yep. But I would fully expect this team to blow it up at some point, rebuild. build up that farm system because right now it's dog shit. I don't view them as a threat at all this year. I could be wrong. I also have them finishing last. I gave them an offseason grade of a D- with a borderline F just because of what they lost. And 71 and 91, last place in the National West.
No, yeah, I agree with you guys. It's just kind of sad to see where the Diamondbacks headed this offseason. I gave them a D just because of how bad it actually looks on paper. I'm going to have them going 75 and 87 and finishing fourth in their division.
Yeah. And now we're going to go to San Fran. Kind of an interesting case going on here. We saw them last year get a bunch of veterans try to piece things together. We saw that didn't go too well. They didn't lose actually too much. They lost Nick Hundley, Gregor Belanco, Hunter Pence, and Hunter Strickland. Probably the one that's going to hurt them the most out of all of that is Hunter Strickland. He's always been a good bullpen piece. But you know what? They've added a decent amount in Gerardo Parra, Rene Rivera, Yang Hervis Solarte, Drew Ferguson, Cameron Maben, Drew Pomeranz, and Travis Bergen. We know the news coming out with Cameron Maben about his DUI. Don't know too much about it. It's alleged. What's going to happen with him, we don't know. I don't see him playing at least the start of the year. So that kind of hurts him. Again, kind of getting rid of an outfield piece, a good outfield piece at that too. They didn't really lose too much. They didn't gain too much. They're going to be a team that this is going to be a very interesting year for. I know me and Deegs were talking about this earlier. Either they're going to be good and they're going to keep what they have and try to work from it, or they're going to be bad and just completely blow it up. But then you got to remember that they are in San Francisco, so it is going to be tough for them to blow it up with the amount of people that go to games, because we saw it for our White Sox PT that once we blew it up, people stopped showing up to games. The Giants don't really have too many prospects to look forward to this upcoming year. I gave them a C. Again, not really doing too much, not really doing anything at all. I have them at 75 and 87 and coming in fourth place.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I totally agree. This team's either going to be good or they're going to be awful. I'm leaning towards the awful route. They have a bunch of guys that are really like just getting up there in age. Brendan Belt, Bumgarner is even getting older. Posey's in his 30s. Brendan Crawford is getting up there. Really, they're only young guys are in their bullpen. They're going to have a sneaky good bullpen, in my opinion. Don't be surprised if it's a top 5, top 10 bullpen in the league. They have a bunch of guys that throw hard. They still have Mark Melancon back there. Who knows what the hell he's going to be? But, I mean, just a bunch of old guys playing baseball. Not really good. They do have a really good GM. They got the Dodgers GM.
Yeah, he's a really good GM.
He's really good. And kind of built that Dodgers team from the ground up. So I would fully expect when the Giants are just chilling towards the bottom of the National League West come the All-Star break for them to blow it up. Bumgarner's probably not going to come back in free agency. He's getting older. He probably wants to go play for a contender. So I think right now a Bumgarner trade is more than likely to happen, whether it be to Atlanta, to Milwaukee, to somebody in the American League. Who knows? But their farm system is god-awful. It's god-awful. I think they have one top 100 prospect. He's an outfielder. He's a Cuban outfielder. I think his last name's like Ramos or something. Heliot Ramos. I might be wrong. But this team needs to trade guys like Bumgarner, get a package for him, trade guys like Brandon Belt, trade a guy like Brandon Crawford.
Evan Longoria.
But yeah, Evan Longoria, build up that farm system, build for the future, because right now they're not going to win anything. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to win a championship this year unless something absolutely insane happens. So I would just start blowing it up, trade them all, build that farm system from the ground up, and call it a day. I gave them a C, record of 76 and 86, good enough for fourth place in the National League West.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on this prediction too. I just don't see San Fran being good at all this year. It's going to be rough. They're kind of sitting in the same position Arizona sitting in. There's not much going on in their farm system. You never like to see that. But now and more, you see the teams are struggling. They just blow it up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that coming soon from San Fran. I gave them a C for their offseason. Didn't do much at all. Didn't surprise anything, but didn't also lose a lot. And I'm also going to give them. I'm going to have them fifth in their conference, going 73 and 89.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely going to be towards the bottom of the barrel for sure. Now, going to your team, Deegs, your San Diego Padres. Just looking at it, they subtracted really nothing, and they added a lot. They subtracted A.J. Ellis. He retired. Freddie Galvis and Corey Spangenberg. Really going to hurt you there at shortstop not having Freddie Galvis, huh?
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's really good defense, so that's good.
Yeah. So you guys added Ian Kinsler at the beginning of the offseason. Raised some eyebrows. But you know what? Now it's looking like a good signing as of now. You got Manny Machado, Greg Garcia, Adam Warren, and Aaron Loop. Just kind of adding to an already very good Padres bullpen. Deegs, I'll let you. You can chime in a little bit if you want to, but some prospects that we might see this upcoming year.
I don't think Deegs has much to say about this team. Do you?
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So, prospects wise, I just wrote a bunch of stuff down. I'll save Machado and Kinsler for the end. But prospects wise, you're definitely going to see Luis Urias, top 40 prospect. He's going to start opening day at shortstop. You'll definitely see Francisco Mejia, also top 40 prospect, currently hitting 600 in spring training. He's like,
yeah, he rakes, dude. He's so good.
He's raking right now. You'll definitely see him. He probably won't start opening day, but he'll be on the roster. I don't even know where to go from here, dude. You'll probably see Chris Paddock, top 50 pitcher, nasty. That's our ace of the future. You'll definitely see Logan Allen, who Eloy Jimenez almost killed the other day.
Yep.
So fuck the White Sox.
And he had a homer his next at bat. Just wanted to add that.
You'll probably see Cal Quantrill. There's so many guys that their farm system ranking is going to be dog shit next year because so many guys.
Who gives a shit?
I know. I'm just saying. So many guys are going to graduate this year. So that's really exciting. Obviously, Tatis, we'll see him at some point this year. That's the big one. He's going to be so good. He's going to be so good for this team. I just put some notes down. Obviously, Machado. I wrote that in all caps when I wrote additions.
Well, actually, one thing real quick. Do you think we see Naylor this year?
No.
No, you don't think so?
Maybe because Travis Jankowski got hurt. Naylor, another guy, Josh Naylor, Canadian. He's like 21.
Yeah.
Naturally a first baseman. Obviously, Hosmer's playing first. I'm not really upset about that. But they have moved him to the outfield. Travis Jankowski, who was our fifth outfielder, kind of a utility guy, really fast, just broke his wrist, out for 4 weeks. So maybe if they choose to carry 5 outfielders, maybe we see Naylor just because the dude is a left-handed bat and he knows how to hit really good. He's a really good hitter. Hit 300 last year in AA and some AAA action. That's a really good trade piece for the Pirates moving forward. A lot of teams definitely going to want him. But Machado obviously gives us a star. He's a superstar at a position of need. That's what you need. If you're going to win a championship at some point, you need to have a star or 2 or maybe even 3 in that lineup. There's a lot of young guys coming up this year, like we mentioned. There's going to be a lot of improvement to that pitching staff. Awful pitching staff last year. Guys like Clayton Richard, Brian Mitchell, a terrible pitching staff last year.
So bad.
Now you got Joey Lucchesi and Eric Lauer coming into their second season. Lucchesi was really good last year. I think he got some Rookie of the Year votes. He was really good. Like I said, Chris Paddock will be coming up this year. We'll probably see Matt Strahm, who was devastating at the bullpen last year, move over to the starting rotation. They have a really good bullpen, really underrated bullpen. A bunch of guys that throw gas, and a bunch of guys that are just plain nasty. Top 5 bullpen ERA-wise last year in all of baseball. Ian Kinsler, I remember Mahoney when he first signed. You asked me about this. We talked about it on like episode 12 or 13 of the podcast. I didn't really give a shit. He's on fire right now. The dude's raking.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can hit 260, 265, that's going to be big. This team is – I have him going 79 and 83, which I would be so happy with, which third in the National League West. But I would not be surprised if this was like an Atlanta Braves situation where they just caught fire. Machado caught fire. Tatis comes up and goes nuts. Obviously, Hosmer, he's been hitting the ball better. If Eric Hosmer starts to put the ball back in the air like he did when he was with Kansas City, and Will Myers has a 2016 season, the Padres are going to make the playoffs this year. So just something to keep an eye out. I don't expect that to happen. There's still a long ways to go. They still need to improve that pitching staff and kind of get a bunch of guys to mold in. But this is a really good future. It is a really good time to be a Padres fan, and yeah, I gave him an A. I didn't give him an A+. I gave him an A. If they get Keuchel, I'll give him an A++, and I'll probably get naked on the podcast.
Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna give my prediction because you cut me off, asshole. So I have their offseason an A, of course. And actually, I want to add this real quick. I have them coming in third at 80 and 82. But like you said about the Braves, I would not be shocked. Because actually, when I originally did this, I had the Padres coming in second and the Dodgers coming in third. But I looked at it a little bit more. I still think the Dodgers have just a little bit more. But I see more positive from the Padres and a lot more negatives with the Dodgers. So do not be shocked if the Padres are coming in second in this division and fighting for a wild card.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you both. Deegs touched basically on everything. I'll just give you my stuff real quick. I gave them an A+. You know, they came in and they probably made one of the biggest splashes in free agency.
Easily, yeah.
Easily. And you know, all the prospects they have too. It's gonna, you know, I'm gonna be looking out to watch the San Diego Padres a little bit this year. So they're gonna be fun to watch. And like you guys said, they could definitely be that team that just catches on fire and it scares the shit out of everyone else. And then MLB. I have them 80 and 82 as well. And that could, to be honest with you, they could grow so much more than that too. So it's gonna be interesting to watch them.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was watching. This reminded me of the Braves so much. I'm gonna
say something real quick too, Diggs. I'm so happy for you.
I'm so happy, dude. So much misery and just fuck. I'm so happy.
We're still in misery though as a Sox fan. So
I was watching.
We'll live off your success.
You know what they're kind of doing?
Huh?
You know what they're kind of doing? They're kind of resembling the Bears a little bit. The Bears they weren't going to be that good, and then all of a sudden they signed that one person, and then look what's going to happen.
Yeah. I was watching a Padres spring training game the other day. I forgot who they were playing. But it was Kinsler, Hosmer, Machado, Reyes, Myers, Mejia, and they just went back to back to back to back to back to back hits. I think Kinsler hit a double, Hosmer hit a double, Machado hit a double, Reyes hit a double, and then after that, oh, dude, it was so nice. It was so high. I mean, it's spring training. I don't care, but like, they'll be all right. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to make any assumptions or anything. I don't think there'll be anything good, but 2020 is the year, man. Especially with Gary Richards. Gary Richards is going to be a sneaky good signing if he stays healthy.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, before we close off this episode, how about we all just real quick reread our predictions for the standings? It'll just take a couple seconds. So, Mahoney has the Rockies coming in first, Dodgers coming in second, Padres coming in third, Giants coming in fourth, and the D-backs coming in fifth. Deegs, what you got?
Yeah, I have the same thing. Rockies, Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks. But should be interesting. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah. I got Rockies, Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks, and San Fran.
And you know what, though? There's most of the free agents are signed, but there's one still on the market that's kind of interesting to me. Actually, there's two that could both affect this division. As you said, Keuchel. You never know where he's going to go, so he's kind of up in the air. But I think that the Rockies, even though they already have three catchers on their roster, I can really see them making a push for Maldonado.
Yeah.
That would make their team a lot better.
He's been in talks with Kansas City.
Yep.
Because of the Salvador Perez injury. Seattle's been talking to him too, but I can definitely see that. Maldonado's a really good defensive catcher. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers got him too, just because he's provides little to no value offensively. I mean, the guy's going to, you know what he is offensively. He's going to hit like 2, but he's so good defensively that he'll always have a spot in the league just because of what he does with the glove. Another guy potentially, I don't know. At this point, if I don't even know if Adam Jones is even going to get a job, but he should. He's really good. There's some teams that could use him. I could definitely see the Giants picking him up just because he fits that mold, kind of. Colorado could potentially pick him up too if they don't want to deal with Ian Desmond. I heard the Padres out there. That would piss me off, but. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all we have for the National League West. Not the powerhouse division it was 2 years ago when Arizona, Colorado, and the Dodgers were all making the playoffs.
Which is good for the Padres.
What?
It's good for the Padres that they're not the powerhouse anymore.
Very, very good for the Padres. But it's just, I mean, it'll be interesting. We'll probably do these a lot now. I mean, opening day is in like 21 days or something like that. So we kind of have to hurry up.
Yeah, we'll roll these out for you.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that's all we have today, right?
Yeah, that's all we got.
It was a good one. Love talking about baseball, always. Make sure you follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Do it all.
Face, fucking everywhere. Mahoney, I think we have some things to announce next week with some people we've been talking to. But, I mean, other than that, have a good one. Thanks for listening. And make sure you let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Perfect.